Welcome back to Back Nine Report TV. We are happy to be here in Cleveland, in Highland Heights, at Stonewater Golf Club, and we're talking with Bobby Bourne, who's a master PGA professional, director of instruction at Stonewater, and has been teaching golf for how many years?
48 years. Can you believe that? 48 years. That's a long time. Figure about 45,000 lessons. I still don't know everything.
There's always something to,
something to learn. There's always something to learn. Always studying.
You were telling me you've been here for about 22 years. You've had a lot of students that have gone on to do well in the state tournament. You've had a lot of kids that have gone on to college, and a few that's even turned professional.
Exactly. We in that office right over there, we did. There's 12 state championships that have kids on them that I've taught, and $3.5 million worth of scholarships. So that keeps you going. Keeps you want to. At 74 years old, you can want to work every day. You never take a day off.
So you spend about not quite 6 months a year up here in Cleveland. You spend 6 months a year down in Florida.
6 months down there, Florida native, and not a native of Florida, excuse me, a resident of Florida. But and that's the best way to do it, because I've been going to Florida since 1969, and since I went to the University of Houston to school. And I like to kind of play golf in the wintertime, or at least be outside when you can do something. That pretty much got me to get to Florida.
Well, there isn't too much better place you can be than Naples in the winter either.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty hard. We're a little bit north of there, which is Bonita Springs, but still you get the climate, and it's so easy to get out of there now with airplane and all that type of stuff. You can get home 2 hours and 10 minutes. You're in Cleveland, so.
Bob, we came over here today. One of the things we want to talk about is V1. It's a software that you use in your instruction quite a bit. And you said you looked at, took a couple years looking at software programs several years ago and decided on the V1. Tell us a little bit about why you did that and how you use that software.
Well, if you're looking for something as far as a teaching aid is concerned, using video is phenomenal because it gives you a visual of what's going on. And kids, I teach a lot of kids. 50% of the people that I teach are kids, 30% are women, and 20% are men. But you can print pictures, you can compare other swings, you get a very good visual of what you're supposed to be doing as a student. And also you put your drills on there. And it's overall, I don't know of any better system. I think there's 2 or 3 of them out there. But V1 is as good as I've seen.
So we came out here, so in your initial lesson with Bob, he brings you out to the tee, you talk about some things, he puts a club in your hand, he comes at face on, takes a few videos of that, then he goes behind you, gets a few videos behind, then you go back in, he puts them on the screen, and you got to look at yourself, which is hard to do. But then you also can match those up with some professional players or some swings that you want to compare to that really accentuates the learning curve.
There's nothing better than have a 12-year-old watch good golf swings. If they watch, because they're mimics. All 12-year-olds are mimics. Anyway, if there's an athlete, I had one time when I was teaching school, I set up about 6 mats in the gym, and I put a vault horse in the middle of it. And we were supposed to just go from one end of the mats to the other. And this kid, D'Artagnan, I remember his first name, he hit that vault, he did 3 somersaults. And I said, where did you learn how to do that? He says, I watched it on TV. So they are mimics, and that's great. I'll make them go in the studio after their lesson and watch good golf swings and then go home.
So then you come back out to the range. You then put into practice. You give some drills to correct the problems that the golfer may have. Then you put those on video. You go back in and look at them. But then to follow up, you can send that right to their email or to their phone to be looking at when they're at home.
That's the nice thing, because when you're doing we call it an internet lesson, you can take your cell phone out and look at it when you're practicing. You can look at all your drills. You can also, I teach the kids how to use their cell phones because, the availability of slow motion is phenomenal. Teach them how to do it from behind, down the line, and face on. And they just fly off the charts as far as I'm concerned.
So you've been using V1 for how many years?
Since about 8 years now. Yeah, about 2010.
From the time before you used that to using it now, how has that accelerated or helped your overall teaching?
Oh, it's made me much better, because you can see the nice thing about V1 and any of the digital high-speed cameras today is you can see impact. And when you can see impact where the hands are, if they're way behind the ball, if they're ahead of the ball, you can always get the student to buy in, because the drills that you're doing and the swing correction that you're giving them shows a better impact position. And that's it. And all of a sudden, they're hitting more balls, they're taking more lessons and everything else. So that's what I like about it, basically. That's number one, impact.
So Bob's been teaching for about 48 years, playing golf and teaching for a long time. And it is true. You can teach old dogs new tricks.
Always.
And so he's got onto the V1 program.
With you today, what are you talking about?
He taught me a couple things, absolutely, which I have a lot of room for improvement. But Bob, V1 has helped your teaching, and it's helped your students, and that's bottom line.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think there's anything any better. Anytime you can get something, whether it's visual or whether it's a teaching aid or something like that, to explain something to somebody. I asked a heart surgeon one time, I says, when you go in to do heart work in a hospital and you're operating, is it always the same? He says, nope. He says, you have to have many different methods, and this has allowed us to have many different methods, is what it's done. Depends on who it is. Some people don't like visual because it confuses them, and that's okay. We don't use it. I might use it for myself and take that information and plug it into their system as far as what they're doing, the good things and the bad things. But there's the only way to go, a digital camera. That's what I would do. So,
Bob Bourne, Master PGA Professional. If we want to find you, if somebody's coming to the Cleveland area and may want to get a lesson, how do they find you?
440-263-2887, Stonewater Golf Club, Highland Heights.
Also down in Florida, if they were going to be down there this winter?
With the Alico Family Golf Center, right there in Fort Myers, Alico Family Golf Center.
Bob, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
This is fun.